So to start with, introductions, I'm Suzanne Halley. I'm the Customer Marketing Manager for the FM sector, and I'm pleased to introduce Loretta Lemongasi today, who is our Kimberly-Clark EMEA Facilities Leader. And she is going to share with us the experience we've had with our Kimberly-Clark offices and her experiences of how FM is changing in the future. So to start with, it's certainly been unprecedented times. We've seen at Kimberly-Clark, we've been working from home for a number of months now, and I'm sure this is similar to many organisations across the country. Workplaces have been closed, markets have declined, and there is increased employee anxiety about returning to the workplace. Since the pandemic, facilities are facing new challenges. So there's a number of these challenges, which are managing new hygiene procedures and protocols and making sure a workplace is COVID secure. Monitoring government advice. As we know, restrictions are changing all of the time across the region. Balancing tight budgets. Often there isn't an increased budget for increased cleaning or hygiene provisions. And ultimately, the number one goal for organisations is to prioritise employee health and well-being. So we thought a good example would be for Loretta to share how we've been managing some of these challenges within our own offices, and also for Loretta to share her view on how the role of facilities management is changing going forward into the future. So Loretta, I can hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne, and thank you all for this space. I will tell you about how we reacted in Kimberly-Clark to the pandemic and what has been the role of facility management in this challenging period, I have to say. So since day one, a robust governance has been established at Kimberly-Clark to manage the many challenges of this new situation. And we had to adopt a consistent global approach. And in order to be able to do that, we organized ourselves with a global governance team and then with a cascade approach, regional governance team, country and site governance. So the top priority, of course, was to protect and is to protect our people and the integrity of our business. As you know, our products are considered essential globally. So we had to continue with our operations in our industry, and we had to continue to operate our business during a period of a very high uncertainty. So by this strong governance, we were able to drive the company through the wave one. That was the let's say the most difficult from one side, because it was sudden, unexpected, and we had to be fast in reacting and make sure the continuity of the business was there. So in doing so, we had to take, as governance teams, hard decisions, still with having in mind to protect the people and the business, right? And the social responsibility that Kimberly-Clark has over the world to deliver essential products for the day life of millions and millions of consumers. So we had to take hard decisions, and but the last month has told us that we did the right thing. So, for example, we closed our offices much before it was mandated or recommended by government. This was all across EMEA, including the UK, and we established a dedicated committee in each of our offices to monitor how the pandemic curve was evolving in every country and in every single region of every country, in order to be able, when it was safe enough to reopen the offices, and this was toward the end of wave one, and when it was just common sense, and wise approach to close them again, as it happened in Europe, starting with the UK offices, unfortunately, and then with the other offices across CNEA. So in all this process, there were several challenges. Well, we focused on two macro areas. The first one was really to re-educate our employees to the new norm and to the new behavior. And the second aspect was, and this was where, facility management was critical, was really to establishing, implementing, and creating and implementing new protocols to the work life in our workplace. So we implemented a robust communication campaign to our employee. And what you're seeing now on the screen is just one example, an abstract of one of the deck that we shared with our employees. So we went through a strong communication campaign to stay close, even psychologically, to our employees, but also to help them be ready for the reopening of the offices and have all the tools, right, and all the preparation needed to protect themselves and others, of course. So you see here, as I said, one slide of a training deck that we shared with every single KC employee before reopening our offices at the end of wave one. And there's nothing that you don't know there, right? We now are familiar with all the principle of how to fight the pandemic: social distancing, self-hygiene, wearing masks. But what I want to emphasize here in this slide is the critical message that we shared with our employees. There are two in this slide. One is what you see on your left. It's do the right thing. This is not just a COVID-related slogan at Kimberly-Clark. It's the core concept of our code of conduct. So it's embedded in our DNA at KC. When we hear these words, do the right thing, it clicks something in us, about assuming the right behavior, taking the right behavior, doing the right thing. And that's why we wanted intentionally to keep the same claim also for the COVID situation. The other key concept that you can take out of this slide, sorry, is that the concept of that shared spaces is a shared responsibility, now more than ever. Okay, as an enterprise, of course, we have implemented a lot of hygiene protocols, intensified cleaning. We will see a little bit in more details in the next slide, but we have enhanced the responsibility of each single individual at Kimberly-Clark, that it's our responsibility to protect ourselves by taking the right behavior, but also to protect the others, by doing the same thing. So just to give you an example, KC employees, when they are in the office during the pandemic, are required to clean the surface and the tool that they use before and after they use it, right? And this is in addition to the intensified cleaning protocols that we have implemented as facility management across our global portfolio. So we have implemented new policy. No personal object can be left in the office. No personal object can be left on the desk, even if it's that desk is going to be reused by the same person the following day. So this is to allow the basically the overnight disinfection and cleaning. But if we go to next slide, Suzanne, please, we will see a little bit in more details how we deploy this across our global portfolio. So we, as facility management, are a critical player, right, in this situation, and this is demonstrated by the fact that since day one of the pandemic, we have been included in that model of global, regional, country and site committee, crisis committee. So the component of facility management at every level of the governance of the pandemic is critical, and it's there. So the office reboot that Suzanne was mentioning before is a clear example. We had to complete a thorough risk assessment of every single site with the same methodology, with the same protocols, regardless of the size of the office. We did the same in offices that were, I don't know, with 5 occupants, and the same we did with offices that had hundreds of occupants, right? So we had to go through a preparation checklist of more than 150 tasks and elements, and most of them, I would say 85% to 90% of them, were facility management matters. We had to transform our offices in terms of layout and traffic flows, because we had to ensure the social distance. We had to minimize the touch point areas, and we had to reorganize the space. We had to bring changes to our facility management operations, for example, by adjusting the opening hours of the offices to allow proper sanitation, disinfection, and cleaning overnight. We changed, of course, the mail service because it relates to touch points, and we implemented these clean desk policies that, if I have to find a positive side of this situation, we're living the dream of every facility manager. You know, our offices have never been so tidy because the desks must be clean every single evening, and the same the floor, and the same the shared areas. And then, of course, we had to change the hygiene protocols in the workspace. We have new intensified cleaning specification at every site. We had to implement signage communication. We had to train every single cleaner from our subcontractors and partners across the globe to the new norm, to the new standards. And then, of course, we had to get ready and prepared for the situation where we had a potential positive case in our space. Then what we do, we needed to be ready for that. And this required a lot of pre-work to be able to just push a button and activate the protocol when a positive case was confirmed in our space. And you know, we had to learn a lot about this. We had to learn how to disinfect the sites. You know, you for sure know there are a lot of different methods. What KC has taken and approved in our protocols is the fumigation through dry mist approach. And we also have the use of UV lamps in our HVAC systems. So all of this massive work, of course, has been recognized by our employee. I mentioned there the recognition from our HR director for UK and Ireland, and how impressed they were for the quick reaction that we have and the massive quantity of work that we were able to manage in a very short period of time. But you know, what could be of most interest for this group is the feedback that we received from our colleagues, right? The end user. And the feedback, the consistent feedback that we received across the globe, not only in the UK or in EMEA, is that they felt safe at KC. So in an environment of so much uncertainty and news, all kind of news coming from everywhere, you know, feeling safe when you sit at your desk and you start your day job, you know, I think it's the best and greatest achievement that as facility management, as an enterprise, we could achieve with our colleagues. So moving on how and what this meant for facility management. Of course, there is a new spotlight on us, right? You know, normally our job is a lot behind the scene, but we are now the subject matter experts for most of the pandemic countermeasures. And this is leading to an evolution of our function and a different level of visibility across the enterprise. So I tried to summarize in this slide, what are the main changes that we are living now. We are interfacing in the company with new departments, or we are doing it totally differently now. An example is with security for access control, with the health department, with HR, with health and safety. Of course, we interacted with health and safety even before because of the, firefighting, fire systems, but now it's on a totally different dimension, I would say, in a totally different level, the level of interaction that we have with health and safety. And the same with engineering, when it's about a technical system like HVAC, with real estate, even our cousins, right, in the enterprises, we need to think strategically what this means from a real estate perspective. We have new stakeholders of all sorts of levels in the company, but we have mostly new stakeholders at the very executive level. We were in a call last week with our global CEO and the CFO and his leadership team. So it never happened before that we were consulted to this high level in the enterprise. And of course, we are called to look at the workplace of the future, what this will mean in the future, how this pandemic will change our workplace. And it's very clear, the trend is that we will need to be able to ensure a higher level of flexibility to our employees. How do we translate this into our workplace, right? So we are talking a lot of unassigned desk policies to make and create more space for collaboration environment, touchdown environments in the office space. So this will be really a turnaround in the workplace strategy, and we are a critical component of creating these new standards. We need to be extremely fast, extremely agile and flexible to react to the new challenge, because, and in order to be there, to be so, we need to be prepared. We need to have digested much before than all the rest of the company, the rest of the colleagues, all the protocols that we must have in place, right? We are on a continuous learning journey because, for example, wave 1 is very different from wave 2. And in wave 2, that is what we're living now, we are constantly learning new elements, right? HVAC, again, is an example that was a little bit underestimated in wave 1 from the FM industry or in the overall industry. But we were anticipating some of the standards that we are now seeing deployed almost everywhere. So when it's about installing UV lamps within the HVAC system, intake more fresh air, it's becoming more critical now that we're going into the winter season. And it's going to be also more expensive for the company, of course, from a utility standpoint. So this is how we're constantly adopting and adapting the new standard and contributing to creating the new standards across the globe. And we have to stay tuned always. We are called in so many different areas that we were not touching before because we are absolutely critical to the reaction of the enterprise to the new challenges. So I will not hide it's tiring, but this is an historical moment in the facility management function. We are living the momentum as an evolution momentum of our function, and it's exciting to a certain extent, I have to say, because we live in it as a big opportunity to deliver value to our enterprise. So I close it here. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you today, and over to you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Loretta. It's really good to hear your experiences there of how your role in facility management has changed and will change going into the future. That brings me on just to give a very short summary about our 360-degree hygiene and protection programme. The programme has been set up to give people confidence as they return to the workplace and to ensure the workplace is safe. So there's 3 steps. The first step is about we can support with identifying your need areas. And we do this by carrying out a virtual hygiene walk, which is a free service where we can assess a facility and identify hotspot areas that are highly touched areas and recommend the correct cleaning and hygiene protocols and the hygiene solutions that should be put in the right location. The second stage is implement. So we look at implementing the correct hand hygiene procedures and also cleaning and hygiene protocols in a sense of a 2-stage surface cleaning and disinfecting process. And then the third stage is about promoting and communicating the hygiene practices that are in place. So Loretta talked about how important this is with changing people's behaviour to ensure they become new habits. And that is the most important part. And as part of this programme, we can provide the communications to support that. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time today. Please do visit our online booth. You can find out more information and ask any questions that you have. And if you would like to book a virtual hygiene walk with us, you can go to the link on the slide, and that also provides you with more information about the 360 programme. Thank you.